Megan, what do you think kills more relationships today?
Mm. It's a great question to start with. I think it's people pretending to be something that they're not, or hiding who they really are, or this fear of really opening up and being vulnerable. I think a lot of people, men and women alike, we're really different and we're a lot alike in a lot of ways. I think for men and women, we all have this deep, deep seated fear of if they really saw me, if they really knew what I thought or how I felt, they would leave me, they would shame me, they would abandon me, fill in the blank. So I think there's a real fear of opening up and really letting your true self be seen. And that I think comes from not learning how to really um, uncover the truth of who we are before we get into relationship. We're always looking outside for someone else to give us the feeling of belonging, of love, of affection, of validation, of attention. And we don't do the work to uncover who it is we really are. So it's hard to reveal something to someone that we haven't even uncovered within ourselves.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. And how do we actually start understanding even who we are?
Yeah. Well, I think it's different for everybody. The unique journey of uncovering who you are. I remember I went on a date once, like years ago, and there was a guy. It was a bit of an awkward date, but one of the questions he asked me, he said, I have a question I like to ask on dates, but a lot of women don't like it. I was like, okay, what is it? And he's like, who are you? And I was like, well. And I just started lifting off like adjectives, right? Like I'm loyal, I'm open-hearted, I'm warm, I'm caring. He's like, no, no, no. Who are you? And it was so jarring. It was very uncomfortable. And I realized probably for a lot of people, that's hard to answer. So I learned this from a mentor. This was a fun starting place that I'll just share right now, but I think it's a lifelong journey of uncovering who you are. But one of my mentors shared that, whatever adjectives it's like, okay, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a banker, or you're naming your profession or who you are in the world or that you're a mom. Instead of that, what are the qualities coming out of you while you're doing those things? Like, who are you when you're being a mom? Who are you when you're being a dad? You're intuitive, you're caring, you're loving. So I like looking at it that way, to really get more in tune with like how we really see ourselves. But I think, my journey was I had to work with someone. I had to work with a coach and do a lot of deep healing work to really uncover what really matters to me. What do I really think? How do I really feel about this? Because I was so disconnected from my body, and what I really felt. I was just all up in my head, analyzing things all the time. And my patterns looked like people pleasing and perfectionist. So again, those patterns had to shift. I'm still in recovery, but those patterns really had to shift a great deal for me to uncover the truth of who I am. So it's a journey.
Oh my God, yeah. And of course, there's all these traumas that create these barriers between you and yourself.
Yes.
Where do you think these traumas start, and when do we start actually looking for validation, or is it that something that's already ingrained with us?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Sort of like, is it nature versus nurture? I think it's both. I think this is ancestral. I think as humans, we are wired for belonging. That is the one thing across humans of all times, of all existence, we're wired to belong. So I think a part of it is innate. And I also think a part of it is learned, and it gets ingrained in us over and over again through our parents, through our caregivers, through our friends growing up, through teachers, through society, through messaging, through programming. We get messages so early. I was talking to a girlfriend about this the other day. I was like, men, I think a lot of men now, even though they really want to step into their mission in the world and what they're here to do and accomplish and be. I think a lot of men also really want to be good husbands and really want to be good fathers and they want it all. They want the family to do. Okay. Yet, as little girls, we're being taught, we're growing up with baby dolls and learning how to be a mom at like 3 years old. How weird is that when you really think about it? Why are we playing with baby dolls and men aren't? If they're meant to be great men and husbands and fathers in the world. So we get this, we get the programming reinforced over and over throughout our whole lives that, you know, a good woman looks like this and a bad woman looks like that. A good man looks like this and a toxic man looks like that. So it's convoluted programming that we really have to unhook from over and over and over again and be like, that's not mine, or I don't believe that, or I don't subscribe to that belief. So it's both. And in a very long answer, I think it's both. It's nature and nurture.
Got it. And we have to unlearn, right? We recognize and then we say, okay, this is not me. This is not me anymore. Got it.
Totally.
Now let's go modern dating. Okay. So we have a problem of we don't know ourselves, hence we cannot say what we want and what we choose. So we tend to abandon ourselves. So how does that look like when you're in a dating or in a relationship? How does that normally look like?
I'll speak for myself. I wasn't the worst at this, but it definitely showed up a good bit, where I sort of would be the chameleon and pretzel myself into whatever the guy was into. So, for example, I don't care for sports. If I never watch another sports game in my life, I will die a happy woman. I could care less. Do I like the social aspect? Sure, but really don't care about sports. But if I'm dating a man who's a big sports fan, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like, yeah, I like sports too. Let's get into this. And you could say part of it was me just supporting something that my partner was into, but I know that I was more so trying to morph into what he wanted me to be, what I thought I needed to become in order for him to stay in the relationship, in order for me to be kept. So it also could look like a woman who is clear as day that she wants kids one day. She knows she is meant to be a mother. She meets a man who is attractive, who's successful on paper, who has all this stuff going for him, but sorry, he doesn't want kids. And she's like, oh, I can change that. I bet it'll be fine. And it's like that to me is just re-inflicting this wound over and over and over again, that what you want is too much, that what you want doesn't exist, that, you're asking for too much. I've had a man actually tell that to me before, that what I'm asking for is like, no man is ever going to give you that. No man's going to do that. And what I believe that translation is I don't know how to give you what you want, so I'm going to make you wrong instead. But, it took me a long time to realize what I want isn't too much. And the reason I know that deep in my soul, is I'm not asking for anything I'm not. I'm not asking for anything I'm not willing to do, willing to give, willing to try, willing to work through. I'm not asking my man to be some unicorn that I can't even live up to. That to me is where true healthy love exists, where, you can kiss codependency goodbye with starting something or building something from that place, where you're free to walk away if you need to, and I'm free to walk away if I need to, but we still actively choose each other, because that's what self-honoring looks like, me choosing you. That's beautiful. Yeah. It's really good.
I love it. And now let's go into the behaviors, right? What's the difference between saying, okay, this is not for me, and this is something that we can work on?
That's such a great and nuanced question. I think it's going to look a little different for everybody. For me, I'm so clear on, let's say, like deal breakers, like what is an absolute, like there's no working out if the man doesn't want children. That's just an easy, okay, it's not aligned. Darn, that sucks. You seem great, but not aligned. Um, and then there are other things that are, you know, I'd say outside of your top 5, like 3 to 5 deal breakers, everything else is kind of figure outable. You can figure stuff out. And if you're in a relationship or a situation, a new relationship, long-term relationship where you are building so much resentment and so much anger, and frustration or annoyance, that's your signal. Like the alarm bell goes off that says, I'm abandoning my needs here. I'm abandoning something that matters to me. You know it when you're so irritated and annoyed with your partner or you're building that resentment. That is your cue. That is your signal. That is the big flag saying, hey, sister, there's something here that you're not asking for. There's something here that matters to you that you're not speaking up for. There's something here. There's not, you know, there's a boundary here you haven't laid out or a request you haven't made. So, that is one of the simplest ways to put it, I think, across the board for people is when resentment starts to build, that is your cue that something gets to shift and something gets to be communicated. A lot of people think, this is another tangent I could go on. A lot of people think they have a communication problem. They have a courage problem. It's not a communication problem. It's a courage problem that then comes out in the form of mixed communication because you're so scared to say the thing that could inevitably end the relationship. And I get that. I've been there so many times. So many times. I mean, I quit my job that I wasn't ready to quit because I was so scared to lose a relationship. So I get it. And now learning from that and doing all the work that I've done, I know how to request things now. I know what my needs are now. I'm not making it someone else's responsibility to tell me what my needs are. I know what they are. So it's my job to courageously communicate that.
Okay. And there's a way of communicating in such a way where it can be received or it can be
Yes.
rejected. So what do you see that works and what do you see that's ineffective?
So I'm not going to lie to you. I think I'm really going to toot my own horn. I'm really good at this. There's a lot of things that I'm still figuring out, but this is something I feel like my clients come to me for repeatedly. Like, how can I present this to someone in a way where they can hear it, not in a way where it's like, oh, I have to cater to the man. That's a big what's the word I'm looking for? Pushback that I've gotten in the past. Like, I don't want to have to cater to a man. I was like, shoot, I don't either. I hear you on that. And if you go to another country and they're speaking Spanish, are you catering to them by learning their language? No, no, you're just learning to communicate in a way where they can actually hear you and understand you. So, um, yeah, I'm tempted. I'm like, do you want to give me like a situation and I could tell you how I could communicate it, or I can just speak in general?
Let's go a specific scenario, right?
Okay.
He's not being a leader in the relationship.
Okay. So, and what does that mean exactly? Like, do you want to make it simple?
He's
Like,
not
he's not planning
initiating.
dates. He's not
Yeah.
initiating. Okay.
He's not initiating, taking an initiative, planning.
Okay, great.
He's really doubtful of saying, hey, do you rather do this or this, rather than him taking
Yes.
control.
Perfect. Perfect. So if I was coaching a client, or if I'm, let's say, dating this man, I would say something like this. Hey, babe. Or hey, if we're really new. Hey, I just want to tell you, I am really loving our time together and getting to know you more. It's really special to me, or I'm having a lot of fun. Again, depends on how serious this is. Um, and I want to just share something with you. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. First of all, you've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. I'm noticing how much I enjoy when you take the lead, when you plan dates, when you initiate calling me, texting me, when you don't even ask my opinion on where we're going to eat. It feels so good to me. Like I can just relax knowing you've got it. Would you be open to doing even more of that? Because I love it. Something like that.
Can we break down the structure though? Because again, it's so magical because
Yeah.
I feel it, right? I feel like I want to invite you at
You want to
least,
eat on a date? Yes.
but how what's happening there?
Okay. So one, I'm acknowledging that the whole reason I have a need or a request from you is because I like you. It's because I want to spend my time with you. I want connection with you. I want more connection with you. So let's go ahead and celebrate that. So, hey, I am loving getting to know you. I am loving the connection that we have. I'm having so much fun getting to know you or whatever. Then I want to make it really clear that you're not fucking up because so men hear what they're not doing and instantly it's like, fuck. See, I'm never enough. See, I'm never enough for her. Have you ever said that to a woman? I know I've been told that by a man. So it's like, hey, first of all, like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. Me, I have a need. I have something I want to be different. I have something I want more of. Would you like to co-enroll in meeting that need with me? That's it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that invitation again, it's not imposing.
Right.
It's
Right.
inviting.
Right. Exactly. You know, something else you can play with that's so simple, um, is instead of like saying what you want and what you want more of, this is a totally different way to play that. The what I just did feels the most natural to me and is what I teach a lot of my clients. But often when you hear like, I want more dates, I want more this, I want more that, and it's just coming at you really like sharp and direct, like, hey, I want you to plan more dates. What's the deal? Um, Again, typically when men hear I want, it's like, oh shit, I'm not doing enough. I'm not living up to what I need to be as a man, fill in the blank. So instead, you can say, I don't want. Like, I don't want to go another weekend where we're not doing something together. I really love our time together, and I don't want to go another week without seeing you. Feel that difference?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's not telling him what to do.
No, no, because he's not in charge of, figuring out your need. He is in charge of co-meeting that need if you decide to play in the space of relationship. And he's not going to be able to do it every time. I'm not going to be able to meet his need every time. If I end up marrying some dude who's like some sports crazed maniac, I'm like, I'm not going to meet the need of going to the games all the time because it's not for me. I'll go with you sometimes, compromise. It's figure outable. But, you know, there's we've got to get more creative in the ways that we get our needs met. One is we got to get clear on what our needs even are. Women have this thing, and I'm one of them, and I love women and I love myself. And I can speak about us to say we have this thing where we grow up kind of thinking the man should just know. He should just read my mind. If he really knew me and if he really loved me, he would know to plan the dates. He would know to clean the kitchen. He would know to take out the trash. Men, I believe, the men in my life at least, they want to make you happy. They would love nothing to be your superhero and be the one that makes you happy. But sometimes, most of the times, we have to communicate that. We have to let that be known and make it clear so that he can win. Now, there's going to be situations where women make the request, they say it in the most polished, perfect, clear, concise way, and the man is still not going to do it. It's not a magic trick, but it's a way to invite deeper connection if you're seeing someone or with someone who is interested in intimacy and deepening the connection with you. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Now, you said, yeah, what their needs are
Mhm.
based on your clients. Have you been able maybe to identify a couple of needs that are recurrent among women? Because probably they haven't been able to name it yet.
There's definitely a need for direction. I've noticed in a lot of the women that I work with, direction as in to know where the man is going in his life, he doesn't have to have it yet. He doesn't have to have the multi-million-dollar business or the gigantic mansion or whatever it is that women think that they want, but he's got to have direction, which also equals him having direction in the relationship. So a man that knows what he wants. So, for example, that can look like, he's headed in the direction of commitment. I know, like, for women that have worked with me over the years, the men they end up getting in relationships with are the men that have direction. And they're like, when can I see you again? They text frequently or call frequently. Like, there's momentum there that's building when they're first starting to get to know each other, because he knows, I want a relationship. I am looking for my wife, or I'm looking for my girlfriend, or I'm looking for a partner. And there's a whole different experience dating a man like that than a man who doesn't really know what he wants, who says, "Oh, I'm looking for my wife," but his actions aren't leading in any sort of direction. Hey, you free tonight to hang out? You want to come over? You want to just hang out? Whatever. Like, there's no direction there, or you don't hear from him for a week, or he sends mixed signals in his text messages. That's a man that doesn't really have direction as far as what he wants, romantically. So I know a lot of women need that. It feels comforting. It feels safe. It feels like he's got you, even if he doesn't know you're it yet. I'm not saying a man or a woman needs to know on date one, oh, this is going to be my person forever. No, but are you interested enough to pursue and to take direction, said in your way, take the lead on seeing where this could really go and building a foundation? So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And because she can come in and enhance everything that's being created. If there's no direction, it's getting enhanced anywhere and everywhere at the same time.
Exactly. Like, there's no container, there's no containment in the relationship or the connection.
Okay, so that's dating, right? And how to identify before that, and what currently happens. There's these terms right now, the buzzwords about toxic, emotionally unavailable, attachment. So what is a toxic relationship? Or is there a toxic relationship?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've been in 2 major ones. And this is where I started my whole coaching career, was helping women heal from and get out of toxic relationships, because that was my story. I think it's Mark Manson's definition. I'm going to butcher it because I haven't said it in so long. It's something like 2 mutually destructive ways of relating. So I'm going to talk more in like toxic relationships, not like in a real like abusive victim kind of relationship. I believe toxic relationships are created between 2 people. So yes, you can have, let's say, one person who's the liar, who's the manipulator, who's the controlling one, who's the belittling one. Yes, but you're still staying in the toxic soup. And for me, my toxic trait was I omitted things, I hid things, I just didn't reveal things for fear of his reaction, for fear of him leaving me, for fear of him, doing God knows what. So, but I stayed in it, and our dynamic was so unhealthy that it eventually, the universe came and hit me with a 2x4, and it ended, thank God. But I think it's between 2 people, but it's this mutually destructive way of relating to one another, where you really can't be yourself. I know specific for me, my toxic relationships made me, there's a lot of gaslighting involved. So that makes you doubt your reality. Like, did what we just fight about the other day not happen? Am I forgetting that? Am I remembering that wrong? So it creates a lot of self-doubt, a lot of confusion. There's often some version of coercion, control, manipulation, which goes hand in hand with gaslighting. One of the big signs for me and for the women I used to work with a lot that they were in a toxic relationship is you hide it from your friends and family. So there's been arguments, there's been disagreements. He finally, or she finally did or said something that was really awful. You go to your friends, you tell them about it, and then you forgive them and you get back together. And you go into this hiding because you have shame about it, and shame loves to hide. So you go into this hiding, and therefore there's something probably not super healthy if you're having to hide it from friends and family who only have your best interest at heart, really care about you, really love you. So that's one of the sneaky ways to kind of think about, oh, snap. If you're hiding your relationship and your dynamic, there's something probably not super healthy going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably also how can someone being outside of that relationship support even?
That's so hard. And my family did a really great job, and my friends, they tried. Gosh, did they try. Um, because I think, no one wants to be an enabler. And then also you don't want to abandon someone you love and care about that's clearly in not the healthiest of situations. So I think for anyone, like if you're dealing with a really close friend or family member who's in a toxic situation, be the person, if you have the bandwidth to, if you have the capacity to, be the person that they go to, that they can share what they're shameful about, and that they're still seeing the person, or that, I want to forgive him, and, people don't know how it is when we're together or whatever. Be the safe space, because if they're in a toxic relationship, again, they're hiding it most of the time. So, and as the person who is holding them and hearing them and letting some of their shame come out, you can say, you know, I love you, and I don't think this is the healthiest for you, but I'm not leaving you. I'm not going anywhere. So it's this way of like being with them, but also not agreeing with their choices. Hard work to do. Hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's possible. And I've been that person, like on the other end. I was the one in the toxic relationship, and then I've been on the person holding someone through a toxic relationship. And I think there becomes moments too where it's like there may have to be a boundary where it's like I can't, we can't talk about this man or this woman in your life anymore. I just it's so unhealthy. I think that can happen for a lot of people. I try to not go there unless I really need to lay that boundary. I want to be the safe space when they don't have other safe spaces. Because I know I didn't have anybody for a moment there. I mean, my family never went anywhere, but all my friends were like, we can't do this anymore. I can't support you. I can't talk to you. I love you. But if you're going to be with him, I will not go to your wedding. I will not support you. And that was so gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. And again, now looking back retrospectively, I needed that to happen. In my case, I'm not saying this is for everybody. In my case, I needed that to happen because I had not built a lot of internal resiliency as a little girl growing up. So I think I needed to have everything fall away so that I could like look within myself, look to God and look to myself and be like, okay, what do I really choose? What do I do now? And I eventually chose to leave. I ended my engagement, 5 months after we got engaged. So,
Wow.
yeah.
How do you transcend that? Because again, many people decide to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the steps that you maybe took to get back to homeostasis, right? Where you're okay, maybe able to date again, maybe able to start living, because it's a promise of living, spending the time. You're not marrying, you're not tying the bow, but you're almost there.
Yes, yes. So after I chose to leave, some really big stuff happened, shit hit the fan, and I was like, that's it, I'm out. And I mean, I've talked about it before where it's like I had to wait till it got to level 10 terrible to finally walk away, but it did, and I walked. And then, my gosh, trying to heal from betrayal and lies, and, the trust that I had for men was obliterated. And I knew I wanted to be with a partner one day, but I was like, cool, how am I ever going to be with a man if, I finish the sentence in my head, men are liars, men are cheaters, men are, whatever, like very negative things would come to mind when I thought about men. So I was like, okay, I got some work to do. So how I healed from it is actually what created my first program as a coach that I ever offered, called In Toxic Dating. I looked back and I looked at my life and my journals and what I did to go from ending an engagement, hating, not trusting men, to being fully wide open heart and getting into some of the best relationships of my life. So I've narrowed it down to a 3-step process, and there's a million tiny steps in these processes, of course, but to really just simplify it for listeners, remembering, releasing, and reclaiming. So I had to dig deep. I worked with a coach one-on-one, into understanding, remembering, recognizing why I picked him in the first place. Why did I stay in something I knew was not great for me? I had to uncover the depths of my trauma, what I had been through, the choices that I had made because of things that had happened in my life. So I had to remember why I was doing this in the first place. So that was really helpful. Then I had to release a lot of the shame, a lot of the embarrassment, a lot of the guilt, a lot of the anger, a lot of the grief. I had to release all the stuff that I had made that mean about myself by staying in that relationship, or the fact that now I have a failed engagement. So releasing limiting beliefs, releasing thoughts. But there was a lot of emotional release work that I had to do. And then the third step was reclaiming the truth of who I am. What really matters to me? Who am I really? That's essentially, if like we boiled it down into 3 steps, that is exactly what I did to heal from that and never look back. I have not been anything even remotely close to an unhealthy or toxic relationship since. I've had some of the most beautiful relationships of my life. They didn't go to the altar for different reasons, but they all ended so beautifully, so amicably, with so much love. And I got something, like even a deeper lesson from every single one. And I tell women this all the time, especially who, they have that belief that says, oh my gosh, like I wasted so much time. I did it again. I got in the wrong relationship again, and I've wasted so much time. And because I used to say that, but what I teach now is like, you never wasted time. You only waste time if you're with someone and it's a no, and you stay anyway. But you never waste time with someone that you get lessons from. You're always practicing for your future forever person. So even when you're on a first date, I know that sounds a little like, really? Even when you're on a first date, the way I look at that is, I'm either practicing being in connection with my future husband, this man sitting in front of me who could be my future husband, or I'm getting in the reps now of practicing for my future husband. Either way, I win, and no time is wasted.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a reel today about the best way to perceive men, and maybe women also on the other side, is any man is the one.
Yeah.
Or she is the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yes. So much of it comes down to choice. And I think, the internet and dating apps and all that. I mean, so many of my clients have gotten married, met him on a dating app. So I'm not going to, diss apps or diss the internet. I wouldn't have probably the career I have without the internet. But it's also made it to where you're just always like, there could always be someone new. There could always be someone new. And who's next am I going to meet? Who next is going to be on the app? Who next might slide into my DMs? Who could I meet across the world? Because we have that ability now. And it's so hard to make a choice. It's so hard to just be like, okay, this person fits a really good number of my values. No deal breakers here. Let's give this a shot. Let's try this, instead of like the guy gets up to go to the bathroom and you're looking on your app to see if you got any other matches. I know women that have done that. I have not done that, but I know women that have done that. I'm like, girl, you like choose to be on the date that you're on. Choose to see if this is something that could really go somewhere. So yes. Yes to it could be anyone. And yes to also like, can you choose?
And what do you think your clients that ended up marrying someone did that allowed them to choose?
A lot of internal work of getting clear on what really matters to them and what doesn't. So, again, I meet a lot of women and they have their list. He needs to be above 6 foot and make X amount of dollars and live in this neighborhood and definitely, yes, want to have kids. Okay. And I'm like, yes, that matters. That matters. Do these things really matter to you? Like, really? Like, if the man with everything, but he's 5'7", are you really? They're like, well, no, of course they'd be fine. I'm like, okay, exactly. This shit doesn't matter. So it's getting clear on really what they want and what they're ready for. And here's the other thing. They weeded out the wrong ones before they were ready to. They said no to the wrong people. I was just having this conversation the other day with a girlfriend that I just met, who went on Love is Blind. And she now has her partner. She has a baby. Awesome, amazing. And she was talking about this very thing. And I was like snapping, yes, this is so true. She got rid of the wrong guys, even though there may have been a part of her that was like, oh, but he's so handsome. Oh my God, but he's so successful. Oh my God, but he looks like he'd be such a great dad. No, if you have something that's out of alignment, no, get it out. I think, this is my belief, I think that sends out this signal to the universe that says, oh shit, she's actually ready. She means what she says. She's not just looking to date. She's not just looking to like have a warm body, next to her. She's not just looking to someone to spend the holidays with, or a date to go to this wedding to, or someone to, take her out to a party on New Year's. She's serious. She's not fucking around anymore. Cool. So we're going to bring in now more people that are better aligned for her because she's serious.
And is there something outside of just the list of like finding the tactical thing? Is there a felt experience? Like, because there's many men that have told me when they knew that they met their wife, even Preston, right? It's like
right.
They knew, right? Does the same happen to women, or is it more of a logical sense?
So I think it's different. So I think men, it's kind of the same thing, but I think men have brilliant instinct and women have amazing intuition. So I think we all have different experiences of how your instinct, how your gut speaks to you, how my intuition speaks to me. And I think we get to trust that and lean on that. I also know for even my parents, my dad saw my mother and he said, it was love at first sight. Like I knew. And she was like, I don't know about this guy. He told her, I love you after 3 months. And she said, thank you. But she didn't, she was like, I don't know. And then she fell in love with him and they're still together to this day. So the reason I'm saying this is I feel like people need to take the pressure off themselves so early on in dating. Like if they don't know immediately that this is the one, they're like, they cast it to the side versus seeing, like actually getting to know the human and figuring out, okay, holy shit, this really could go the distance. Or, okay, I thought I liked him or thought I liked her, but this is actually a no for me. I think it's different for everybody. I think where actually a lot of people get their hearts broken is they think they're supposed to know. And then they meet someone and there's that crazy electric chemistry lightning charge. And those are the ones that actually end up breaking your fucking heart. So, not the case for everybody, right? But I don't think that, I think the whole like when you know, yes. But the timing by which that happens is going to look different for everybody. I would not exist if my mother believed when you know, and I should know right now because this man knows. I wouldn't even be here. Thank God she took her time to fall in love and figure out if this was the right man for her. She just happened to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not rushing, right?
Yeah.
Not rushing the connection, but also at the same time being able to stay in it enough for it to happen, right?
Totally. Yeah. There's a difference between, you know, meeting someone and it's off to the races and we're together at least 5 nights a week. And, I'm going to meet his parents tomorrow. And I mean, I just had a call with a client recently who experienced something like that. And it's sort of, whatever starts out that hot typically burns out that fast. There's a difference from meeting someone and getting excited and like going off to the races and courting someone, taking your time, being intentional, again, having that direction while not just consuming each other's lives and meshing together the moment you meet or the moment you really start to like them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
People don't, because you don't even know who they really are yet. That is my mantra. It's been my mantra for years. It's a mantra I teach people over and over again. Like, you're allowed to get excited. I want women to get excited. We're so scared to get excited anymore because we're scared we're going to have disappointment, as if disappointment is like the scariest thing in the world. But for women, it is. Like, I don't want to be disappointed. If it doesn't work out, you're probably going to be disappointed anyway. So get excited, and you don't know the person yet. You can get excited, but the truth is you have no idea who this man is yet or this woman is yet. So enjoy the process of getting to know him. Enjoy this honeymoon phase. Enjoy the uncovering and the discovering of who he is. But if you rush it, what's that saying? It's like, if something about like if you speed, you're most likely to get in more accidents. Like, you can take your time even in your excitement. That's something that I like to teach women. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. Yes. And how long should you wait? Have you like what's like okay, I'm waiting and I'm still waiting and it's 5 years and I'm still waiting.
Oh no, I would not do that. I mean, that's again my personal preference. My sister and her partner were together for nearly 6 years, and they just got engaged. And you know what? That works for them. That doesn't sound fun for me. And again, nuanced. So waiting for what exactly? For commitment, for marriage, for what would you say? To get in a relationship, be exclusive?
Yeah, probably first let's go step by step, like exclusivity, right? You're starting to date people, and what have you seen that tends to work? Because suddenly you're in a situationship for 5 months.
Yeah, no.
And you're still dating and open though. Where's the line?
So Dr. Pat Allen has talked about this and has done a lot of studies around this. She was on Oprah, I think like 6 times. She's still teaching to this day. She's in her like mid 90s. Wow. But I mentored under her for a minute, and it was a very fascinating experience. But in one of her books, a lot of her books, she talks about this. That phase of sort of like figuring out, okay, are we going to be exclusive? Like, are we going to be in a committed partnership that's headed towards marriage? Again, if you're someone dating for wanting to get married, well, then you're going to be entertaining men who also want to get married. That's kind of how that works. That's a relationship in alignment. Okay. But you're not needing to know super early. So she says around the 3-month mark is a healthy time to kind of figure out, all right, are we going this way or are we going that way? Are we going to really get this a shot? Or is this actually not in alignment? 3 months. Then she says, typically, for like to give it time to figure out who people are, to go through, some hiccups. She says normally the deeper commitment is between a year and a year and a half.
Mm.
But again, my sister didn't follow that prescription, and she's like so happy. It's different for everybody. But again, for a lot of, I'll speak to their relationship a little bit. I hope she doesn't mind. I think for a lot of their relationship, they were very happy being where they were. They were so devoted, so committed, living together, have a dog together, a home together. They didn't need that to be happy. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, no, I want this. Okay, I want this. We're doing it. Where it starts to get muddled and tricky is when one person is like, I want commitment and the other person's like, I don't know if I do. And that can be tricky, right? So I think both people need to know for sure that eventually that is something that they want and they are headed in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
I have male clients too who, I think for a lot of men, and I'm not a man, so I could be wrong, but from what I've learned, a lot of men wait to do that or to commit to that or to be ready for that because they want to have other things lined up first. They want the financial security. And I respect that too. Especially if you're starting a family, like it's not a cheap endeavor, right? And I think as long as a man has the drive, has the ambition, has the direction, I think you can still decide to get into a deeper commitment, even though you're not quite where you want to be yet. Because I think that keeps a lot of people really just waiting to be happy, really just waiting for, the love and the deeper intimacy and connection that they could have right now. So that might be an unpopular opinion, but that's one I happen to have.
Let's go out for another unpopular opinion. What do you think about the 50-50?
What is like in relationships?
50-50 when it comes to relationships in terms of providing financially and right now with the culture.
So I grew up in the South and I have mixed views on it depending on what stage of relationship you're in. So my viewpoint is if you are dating, you are being courted. This man is asking you on dates. He is planning the dates. He is paying for the dates. That's my opinion. Now, let's say I'm going on the 5th or 6th date with a man and we are meeting for drinks and then we're going to dinner. If we're meeting for drinks, I'm going to I got this one, babe. Or I got this coffee, or I got, popcorn or whatever at the movies. Or I'm going to cook you a meal tomorrow. Like I like to contribute in other ways without being the one that's like, hey, are you free on Friday? I'd like to go to dinner. And then I'm like, oh, I'll pay for it. No, never going to happen. Not me. So earlier stage dating, I think men should step into their providership. Women should step into their receivership and stand in their worthiness to receive, and the man court the woman. Mm-hmm. Now, committed relationship, committed partnership. When I was living with my last partner, we split the bills 50-50 and I was fine with that. Fine. I'm like, we're in this together. I think if a man, I'll play it out in my dynamic. If a man was making substantially more money than me, I would want him to take care of more things than me. If we're making the same amount of money, okay, then we'll split it. That's how I've always thought about it. I've been in relationships where the man's like, I've got you. You don't worry about a thing. That's great. And I loved it. It's not my deal breaker though. Like, it's not my deal breaker that I'm not looking for a man to just provide my whole life. I live the life I want to live because I created that for myself. So later stage commitment, like marriage, long-term partnership, I'm fine with that.
Interesting take. Yeah. And I think many of the men that were listening are like, oh, okay. Because there's also these standards, right? Of, okay, you like, even with all the social media and the comparison is, and I've even been like part of this like chip of like, I have to be the man and provide and become a millionaire so she doesn't work. Right. But
some women are like that, some, but not all. Not the ones that work with me either, typically. They're established, they are, and yes, they've ended up with men who've made a lot of money for sure, which is great, but like, I don't know. There's something, I just don't work with a whole lot of women that are really, I'll say this. I work with a lot of successful women, and some of them do have this dream of when I meet my husband, I want to be able to like take a step back. I want to raise a family, but I haven't met a woman who's like, I never want to work a day in my life. I want the man to take care of everything. I haven't worked with a ton of those women. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But for a lot of the go-getters in my world, they don't want to quit forever. They have something to give in this world. They have, and not that people who don't work don't give something. Mothers, have the hardest job in the world, but they're not reliant on the man to just take care of everything. They get a lot of pride and joy of being like, I fucking did this for myself. Yes, I bought this house. Yes, got this car, or yet whatever it is. So no, I don't think it should all be on the man, especially if you're not a successful woman.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's go again into the communication part. So if you're in a relationship, there's always going to be ups and downs and openings, close, like all the things. So what do you think is the best way to learn about communication when you're starting to have certain conflicts or things come up that you want to figure them out? They're not deal breakers, but how do you go about maybe repairing?
Yeah, repairing. That's good. Before I hired a coach, I would read books. I would listen to podcasts, to just try to learn more about relational dynamics. So that's very cheap and, sometimes even free, right? Podcasts. So that's always a great starting point. There's lots of information out there now on TikTok and Instagram. People are making content constantly. But, learning to repair, is one of, I think, the strongest and greatest skills you can learn as a human who just is in relationship with your coworkers, relationship with your friends, your family, your kids, yourself. I don't think anyone is ever in like full self-love all the time. I've met some incredible healers and mentors and coaches, and they're not in self-love all the time, but they know how to repair with themselves when they've been really hard or critical or judgmental. So, I think for a lot of people, some of the hardest stuff is just learning to own your side of the street and say, I'm sorry. It's so hard for a lot of people. And one thing that I used to do, I've never had a hard time saying I'm sorry. I guess I grew up in a family where that was really practiced. So that comes easy for me, I would say. But one thing that I used to do was I would say, so this is something you can obliterate from your language if you're learning how to repair. Here's a great one to take out and never use again. I'm sorry you feel that way. I used to say that all the time because I'm like, well, that's their experience. That's their trauma. That's their shit to deal with. So sorry you feel that way, but that's your shit. There's a way to apologize where you don't take responsibility necessarily for someone's trigger, right? Like me, I'm trying to think of an example. Like me hanging out with friends when I was engaged, with me hanging out with friends, and guys show up to the party, and I, go home and I tell my fiance, I'm like, well, yeah, some guys show up, and they're like, oh, I can't believe, what do you mean men showed up? I'm like, this is out of my control. Like, this is not my fault, but he's triggered. It'd be so easy to be like, sorry you feel that way, but that's not my freaking fault. So there's a way to not take responsibility for someone's reaction, but also taking responsibility for the impact. Like, I'm really sorry I didn't tell you that. I'm really sorry that, that something that I did in my behavior impacted you that way. I'm really sorry. Without being like, I'm sorry that something was out of my control and now I have to feel bad about it. Can you feel the difference there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one seems to be like a people pleaser, like I have to carry on the burden with you, and the other one is I am seeing you totally, and I know that what I did affected you, but I'm not making you entirely to deal with it. I'm not leaving you alone.
Or me entirely wrong, or me like that I've done some horrible thing just because you're having a big reaction, right? Like normally when the punishment doesn't fit the crime, like the reaction is so much bigger than what actually happened. It's a deeper wound. It's a deeper trigger. And I'm not going to take responsibility for the trigger, but I am going to take responsibility for lighting that match. It's your match to deal with, but I lit it. So I'm really sorry that my actions or behavior still had an impact on you like that and that hurt you. I'm really sorry you're hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are other things men don't know about women?
Such a great question. We don't always know what we want. So we're really well practiced at trying to get you to figure it out because we don't always know. We change our minds a lot. Maybe you do know all this stuff, but I'll admit it. We change our minds a lot. That's part of the feminine. One thing I want, one minute I want this, then I want this. 1 minute I want to eat here, next minute I don't know. We change our mind a lot. And we are always going to want more. It's like we are this unfillable well that always desires more time, more connection, more love, more affection, more whatever. And I think if men really just got that, like there's no way in my lifetime I will ever be able to fully fill up that well of hers because that's just who she is as this feminine, gorgeous creature. I'll never be able to do that. Knowing that, I hope, would take some of the pressure off. Like, that's just kind of us by default. We always want more.
But how can a man acknowledge those desires without shutting you down and saying, no, you cannot have all of this?
Yeah, you can't have it. No, give me more chocolate, please. Acknowledging the desire and also holding a boundary if need be. So like, baby, I know you want more time. I know you want more vacations. I know you want more of this. I don't have the bandwidth right now, but I promise you we're going to spend more time in a week. And what can I give you right now just to reassure you and remind you that you matter? What can I tell you right now that you know, like how much I love you? I wish I could be there. It's so simple. Like it really is so simple to just acknowledge what we're feeling. Like, God, I hear you, babe. That's got to be so hard. I know you want that. And I'm sorry I can't give it to you right now. That in itself, it's like, okay, so he's not saying I'm too much. So he's not making my needs or wants or desires wrong. So he's not shutting me down, but he's also so clear and so direct with me where he's like, you can't have that right now, or I can't do that right now. I love you. I want to be able to give you that, and I can't right now. That to me just, like I melt into a puddle because at least there's the acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is so powerful. So powerful. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome, Megan. So how do women work with you? How do they connect?
Yes. I normally through Instagram, you can find me. It's at Megan_Thoma, Thoma. You can DM me, you can reach out. It's me on there. I don't have an assistant, working behind the DMs. I talk to so many women on there. So Instagram is really easy. I have a free podcast, The Dating Confidential. You can listen to stuff there. But the easiest way to find me is through Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Final question. What would you have said to Megan 5-10 years ago when you were in the middle of that? On the relationships?
It's going to make me cry. Your greatest love story awaits you. And really what I mean by that is with me. Like me uncovering and living out my greatest love story with me instead of waiting on a man to do it or thinking I need the man to have that. And in me living out this part of my journey, I know that that is going to make my marriage that much richer. But it had to start with me. So your greatest love story awaits you.
And if you were to say one more thing to a woman that wants to find love, wants to find the relationship of their dreams, what's one action they can take today to start that journey?
This is something that I did over this past year, and it has been transformative. And it goes right on theme with what I just said. Start doing things now that you are unconsciously waiting on a man to do. So whether that's a vacation you want to take, a class you want to try, going to try a new favorite restaurant, it could be anything, but there's so many little, buying your first house. There's so many things that's like, oh, I need to wait till I'm married. I need to wait for a man to do that. No, that'll be weird if I go by myself. Do it now. Do it now. It is the most freeing, liberating, and love-inducing experience you can do for yourself. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Megan. It's been a healing conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Awesome.